I'm about to take my last 10 milligram Mounjaro injection before moving up to the next dose, and I thought I would be nothing but excited. And I am excited, but I'm also really nervous because when you're a slow responder like me on GLP-1, there's a scary thought that keeps getting louder and louder the longer you're on it. What if I move up to the highest dose and the weight still isn't coming off? My A1C is better. My blood sugar is better. My appetite suppression is really strong. My food noise is practically non-existent. But the scale is acting like it didn't get the memo that I'm on a GLP-1. And I know I'm not the only one feeling this because I keep seeing so many of you say the same thing in the comments. Your blood sugar is better. You're feeling better. But the scale still won't move. So this week, I want to talk about the fear that no one really talks about when you're a GLP-1 slow responder. What happens when the medication is clearly helping your health, but the weight loss is just not happening? So if you're a slow responder too, or you're moving up in a dose and wondering if your body is going to respond the way you hoped, then this video is for you. Welcome to Slow and Steady with Andi. I'm Andi, and this week we're talking about the scary part of being a GLP-1 slow responder, especially when you're moving up in a dose and wondering if the scale is ever going to catch up. I'm sharing this from my own experience as a type 2 diabetic on Mounjaro with PCOS, insulin resistance, at the end of perimenopause going into menopause, and who knows what else. I'm not a doctor, nutritionist, medical expert, nor do I play one on TV. I'm just sharing what this is actually feeling like in real life. I'll also share a quick weekly update on how my week 11 on 10 milligram Mounjaro went, as well as share my last 10 milligram injection with you all. So if you've been with me for a while, you know that I have been on the 10 milligram Mounjaro now for going on 3 months. Today will be my 12th injection. And all in all, being on the 10 milligram has been very pleasant. As far as appetite suppression goes, the 10 milligram has given me the most consistent and strongest appetite suppression. I'm not moving to the 12.5 because my appetite suppression is disappearing. I'm also not moving to 12.5 because I have food noise coming back. I'm moving to 12.5 because after talking about this extensively with my doctor, she decided that it's time for me to move to the higher dose because plain and simple, when somebody's a type 2 diabetic and insulin resistant, it is very difficult to lose weight. And if you add on any of the other issues like PCOS, if you're going through a lot of hormonal changes because of perimenopause, menopause, it's even harder. Yay. But in talking to my doctor and her explaining that my body just may need to be on the highest doses to finally respond, I'm staying hopeful, you guys. I have to. But even while I'm remaining hopeful, I'm really kind of freaking out a little bit because for me, there really is nowhere else to go. I don't want to talk about this too much, but there's been mention of a newer GLP-1 medication coming out possibly the end of this year or in the beginning of 2027. It's called Tirzepatide, and I was like feeling really excited when I first started hearing about it. I was pretty much like, okay, sign me up when that comes out, because there are some really positive things being said about how the studies are going. However, me being somebody who kind of digs into side effects and risks, I found that retatrutide has some risks and side effects that semaglutide and Tirzepatide do not have. And one of those risks are rapid heartbeat, heart issues. And that right there, that pretty much sealed the deal. That's the whole reason why I'm not going to take minoxidil to try and get my hair to grow back. I don't want to deal with fast heart rate. I've been on medications that did that, and it's a very scary feeling. It sent me into 2 years of having consistent extreme panic attacks, the kind of panic attacks where I was going to the emergency room because I was 100% sure that I was dying. They were awful, and I will not go through that again. So that being said, I'm feeling really scared that this medicine that I had so many high hopes for last June when I started taking it, I'm at the second to the last milligram dose. So if this medication doesn't start kicking in like now and help me get closer to my goal of losing a total of 130 pounds, I mean, at this point, I'd be happy if I just lost another 50 pounds. That would put me at like 82 pounds. Okay, I can deal with that. But it makes me wonder, am I going to be stuck in this body forever? I know that sounds dramatic, but I'm also sure that some of you are going to relate to what I'm saying, because when you've been fighting for weight loss your whole life, you just really start to feel discouraged that you're just never going to get there. What if I go up to the next highest doses and nothing changes? And going back to the comments, first of all, I just want to thank you so much for those of you sharing so openly with me. For those of you that are thanking me, saying you're so glad you found these videos because they're making you feel less alone. I need to be thanking you, because I didn't know what to expect when I started putting this part of my life out there. But you all help me to not feel so alone. You all help me to stay encouraged and to continue to have hope. So again, thank you all so much for sharing a piece of yourself here with me. And in those comments over and over again, I'm seeing I'm eating better. I'm not overeating. You're saying I made so many changes to my lifestyle, whether it's food related or activity related, and still the scale just doesn't want to move. There's some of you saying that you're eating extremely low calories, which I'm not a doctor, nutritionist, or play one on TV. But I just want to say, please be careful. Please take those decisions to your doctor. If your insurance will cover it, find a nutritionist that you feel very comfortable with, because starving your body can also make you not lose weight. You can research that on your own. But again, I just urge you to really find a medical team that you trust, like a real live one, not YouTube ones, and work through finding what your body may need or not need to start encouraging weight loss. But the point I wanted to bring up is that at some point, when there's so many of us saying the same thing, it can't just be a coincidence that we're struggling so much to get our weight to go down. Maybe the answer is not that we're all just lying, lazy, and doing everything wrong. There's so many things about being on this medication that I am grateful for. There's no denying that this medication has changed my life in so many ways. When I started taking my Mounjaro, my A1C was at 7.9, and it within a matter of, I want to say, 2 to 3 months, it dropped down to 5.7, and now over the past 3 or 4 visits to the doctor, it's been maintaining at 5.4. That right there is really what this medication was designed for, or created for, was to help A1C, and it did. My blood pressure has went down within a few months of being on the medication. I was able to cut my losartan in half, and I'm still hopeful that maybe over the next year I can come off of the high blood pressure medication completely. But even with all those health wins, the weight loss just hasn't matched that success. And it is very, very frustrating. I'm still I'm still stuck at 32 pounds ish weight loss after a year. In my first 4 months, I had only lost 4 pounds, but then when I was at the end of 5 milligram going into 7.5 milligram. That is when most of my weight just started to come off. And oddly enough, the weight came off during the months where usually people are gaining weight. So October through Thanksgiving, Christmas, I had one of my lowest weights yet. And going into New Year's, that is when I lost the most significant amount of weight. But now here we are in May, and I am still stuck at hovering around the lowest weight that I reached in December, which I think it was like 235.2, something like that. It's just crazy. I don't get it. And don't get me wrong, I am so extremely thankful that Mounjaro is working for my health, but I would be lying if I said that I am just okay with being stuck at the same weight for months and months now. Seeing that number go down on the scale can feel like proof that my body has finally started cooperating and has stopped fighting me. It's been fighting me my whole life. There's so many things about being overweight that just really have broken me emotionally. Never feeling pretty in the clothes that I wear. Carrying all the extra weight affects how your body feels. It affects how your joints feel. It affects my confidence. Being overweight has put me through some of the most painful periods of my life. So, just a little bit of history about me. In my younger years, I was a very, very active kid. I was a very scrawny kid. I did not look like the kid who would someday have weight issues. But as soon as puberty hit, it was nothing but hormonal issues. I did not start a period until I think I was 14 or 15 years old. And then even once I started, they were not regular. I would go month after month, sometimes getting them, sometimes not, never knowing when they were coming. It was just all over the place. And that kept on even through my 20s. The first time I got married, I was 23 years old, and probably around when I was 27, 28 is when I started really feeling that pull of, okay, I'm ready to start having kids, to try and get pregnant. And you guys, it just wasn't happening. I went on some medications to try and get the ovulation going. I was going through all the little tests, the urine tests for ovulation, all the things to try and find the timing. And anyways, I did end up getting pregnant, and I was so excited. And I ended up having a miscarriage and was never able to get pregnant again. My now husband, the love of my life, my best friend, and he brought into my life two beautiful stepdaughters, and I'm so thankful for them. But these hormone issues, they took something from me. They took something big from me. And as much as I try not to think about it, as you can maybe imagine, maybe there's some of you who truly relate to me, and we're never able to have kids either. But I'm going to tell you right now, I feel like a unicorn in the crowd, whether it's around my friends, my circle of friends, around my church friends, really everywhere I go. I am usually the only one that can't participate when they're talking about when they were pregnant and this and that. And, Mother's Day is not only very hard because my mom is gone, but it's just really hard because there's still that hole in my life. And I'm sorry, you guys. I know probably almost every video I'm probably crying, but I'm just going to lay it out for you right now. I'm an emotional person. Plus, I am perimenopausal, menopausal with like hormone issues. So, if you don't like somebody who sometimes cries, then this probably isn't the channel for you. Okay, so let's just move away from the emotional part. Let's go into the weekly update. Week 11 on 10 milligram. Why is that so hard to say? Week 11 on 10 milligram Mounjaro was just sort of uneventful. Appetite suppression is still really strong. No food noise. I'm still having some sleep issues, but I don't think that's medication related. I think that's more perimenopause, menopausal related. I weighed myself this morning and I will pop that up here so you can see my weight. You guys, I don't know. I would have to go back and look at last week's video to see. I think last week was 235. Last week was either 236 and the week before that was 235, or the week before last week was 236 and then last week was 235. I don't know, but as you can see, this is what the weight was this week. And that like pop up that you're seeing in the app, that's because I was wearing socks this morning. My feet were cold, and I have a smart scale and it has like little metal sensors on it, and you have to be barefoot for the sensor part of it to work. It will actually pick up your heart rate, and it supposedly detects like other things like BMI, bone density, muscle mass, all those things. So that is why you see the pop up, but there you go. As far as activity, I had a couple days where I did some of the Pilates bar workouts, but this week's been kind of slacking as far as making time to do actual workout, but it's because I've been really busy doing other things. So even though I'm not doing any type of specific workout, most every day this week I've had at least 8,000 steps in on that day. And interestingly enough, Monday, it was a Monday. It was a Monday with work. It was stressful, and after that work day, I wanted to go down on my treadmill and walk. So I get on my treadmill and things are going along good. I'm walking I keep changing it between 2.5 mile per hour and 3 mile per hour. Good pace, not out of breath, but a moderately fast pace for a 5 foot person with really short legs. And I got 3/4 of a mile in and I had to stop because my Dexcom is linked to my watch and my blood glucose started just plummeting. I was getting it's like an urgent alert. So at that point, I had to stop walking. I had to come upstairs, take some of my glucose tablets, lay down, and give it time for the sugar in those glucose tablets to work and raise me back up. Because if you're not real familiar with blood sugar levels, if your number gets down to like 55, you got issues. You're now getting to, you might pass out and bad things can happen issues. And that is why I don't just take random advice from the internet telling me to fast harder, cut carbs, eat as little as possible. I am a type 2 diabetic. My A1C is controlled, but I still have to manage my blood sugar in real life. Before I get set up for my last injection of 10 milligram, there's really just something that I want to make sure that all of you slow responders hear. You can be doing the right things and still be losing slowly. You can have better labs and yet still feel frustrated. You can be thankful for health improvements, but still be wishing the scale would move. You are not automatically failing because your results look different than a lot of the stuff going on social media. Slow does not mean hopeless. Slow does not mean lazy. It may just mean that your body has more going on than a quick before and after video can show. If you can relate to the slow responder side of GLP-1, I'd love for you to subscribe and stay on this journey with me. And if this video is helping you feel less alone, hitting like really does tell YouTube to send this out to more people who may need to hear this too. So that is where my head has been this week. I'm hopeful and I'm nervous, and that's okay. Okay, so let's take this last injection of 10 milligram Mounjaro. Next week, I'll be taking the 12.5 with y'all. I'm super excited, nervous, and I'm ready to see what my body does next. So let me get set up real quick and we will do this. Okay, you guys, while I was wiping my arm down with alcohol, I just really noticed something, and I have to share this with you because it's kind of significant. My arm fat, my bat wing, is much looser than it's been in a long time. What does that mean? Does that mean my arm is getting smaller? I feel like that's what that means. I've been doing a lot of like arm weights, but oh my gosh, it looks so gross, but real life, whatever. It wasn't that floppy, maybe not even a month ago. So maybe that means something's happening. I don't know. I just had to share that with you. Okay, let's get back to sticking this thing in my arm. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Ow, 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 ow. And she's done. And it's done. And before anybody says anything, no, you don't have to keep your finger on here until you hear the second click. That is directly from Eli Lilly's website. They suggest that if you have shaky fingers or you're apt to lift your whole hand when you lift your thumb up, to keep it down so that way you don't have any mistakes. And also, you do not have to hold this up against your skin for 10 seconds after the last click. When that second click happens, that needle has completely retracted. So holding this here is not going to put any more medication into your skin. And the third point, 1, 2, 3, third point, I don't know. The third point is if I wasn't doing this properly, my A1C would not be at 5.4 normal. It's not even pre-diabetic range anymore. It's normal A1C. So just thought I would mention that. But thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for caring enough to think that maybe I'm doing it wrong and that's why I'm not losing weight. I don't want to seem unappreciative. I just don't want to share information that's not necessarily accurate that might make other people think they're doing something wrong. If you're still here watching this video, thank you so much for being here and spending this time with me. If you are a slow responder and you're scared that moving up to the next dose still won't be enough, I totally get it. I'm right there with you, and so many others are right there with you. Just remember that slow does not mean hopeless, and being frustrated doesn't mean you're ungrateful. We can be thankful and still want more. We can be nervous and still keep going. And we can let our doctors, our labs, our bodies, and our real lives guide us more than random internet advice. If you're walking the slow road too, subscribe and come back again with me next week when I take my first 12.5 milligram dose. Leave a comment and let me know how you're doing on your GLP-1 journey, especially if you're also wondering if the higher doses will make a difference. See you next week. Bye.
A lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright, and for the first time in a long time I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain.